what is involved in the process of caring is understanding that person and meeting the needs at that particular time. And indeed, they are the needs of living, even when someone is dying.
Dr. David Barton had an idea. In 1971, the young psychiatrist who had just relocated to Nashville with his wife Lynn and their children was disturbed by the way the medical community dealt with terminal illness. Medicine was geared toward healing, not death. Patients were often written off after a terminal diagnosis was made. Dr. Barton wanted to change that.
The intriguing thing about working with patients who are dying, and with the families and with the caregivers of patients who were dying, was that for me personally, it was a whole different space to try and understand and to try and bring together in some way that contributed to a level of care of patients that I felt was really not getting done as well as it might be done.
To that end, Dr. Barton began teaching a class to medical students at Vanderbilt University on death and dying, along with a man who turned out to be his philosophical soulmate, hematologist Dr. John Flexner.
He and David had a great relationship, and he would say David kind of had the ideas, but he wouldn't let them stay as ideas. He would then push to make them happen.
So how could they make those changes for the terminally ill? On a cold December night in 1974, a small group, including both Bartons and John Flexner, gathered in the Bartons' living room. And over coffee and Krispy Kreme donuts, the group began formulating a plan that would change the medical landscape. David recorded the meeting.
If you make rounds standing up, patients will never tell you anything important because you've always got you're in gear and your motor's running there, and it's obvious that it's going to be an in and outer. You know, you're going to come in and ask a few questions. They're going to give you a few pat answers because they're going to answer your question the way they think you want it answered, and away you go. Whereas if you sit down and are casual and talk about non-medical things, you can really work your way around into important conversations.
Let me tell you a concept now that's sort of a growing concept, but it's bound down a little bit, I think, by the sort of spiritual overtones, although it's still a growing concept, and that's the concept that Cicely Sanders started in England of the hospice.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Hospice. A word that hadn't yet entered the mainstream. Dame Cecily Saunders founded the first hospice in London in 1968, but there were no hospices in the United States. Nothing to help ease the pain and suffering for terminal patients like Linda Cummings. The 34-year-old Nashville wife and mother was dying of melanoma. In the short time she had left, patient number 1, as she came to be known, provided valuable insight for the group. She recounted her feelings in Dr. Barton's book.
I worry about the pain and just lying there and dying slowly. It seems so dumb, so pointless. If you're going to die, that's one thing. But why should you suffer so much in the end? I can't see any point in that, and that's what frightens me. I guess I want to die graciously.
Less than a year later, that idea born in the Bartons' living room became a reality. On November 14, 1975, not-for-profit Alive was officially founded in Nashville, one of the first hospices in the country. The first name on the articles of incorporation was John Cummings, the husband of patient number 1, and the originator of the Alive name.
He came up with it, and it was focusing on what we wanted to do, and that was to take care of people until the very moment of their death. People talk about dying people. They don't talk about people who are living and will die, which in effect we all will. But to focus on the living part, the alive part, is what we wanted to do in this organization.
The first years were rough. Patients were seen in their homes, and the fledgling organization was staffed with just a handful of volunteers. Alive bounced from one office space to the next.
Someone called me, and I took the person out for lunch and told them about it, and she gave the first contribution to Alive Hospice, which was $150. And we felt that was wonderful because I think at that time we had $57 in our treasury.
But big changes were coming. In 1983, Congress passed the Medicare Hospice Benefit Act, allowing federal dollars to be used for hospice care. Alive was able to build a permanent administrative building in 1989, followed by the area's first residential unit in 1998.
It's not just like every other hospice. You have clergy to help with spiritual needs, you have nurses to help with physical needs, doctors to help with medical needs, social workers to help with grief, lots of volunteers to provide comfort and care, pets sometimes that make the rounds. So much of our fundraising that we do goes into providing charity care for people in our residences.
There's a level of comfort there in hospice that you can't get in the hospital, because the hospital, whether we like it or not, is often more focused on cure, and the hospice is focused on comfort.
As the years went by, Alive's embrace by the community grew. Nashville's iconic Bluebird Cafe launched an annual fundraiser over 30 years ago, with all proceeds from January concerts going to Alive. Bluebird in the borough was added, expanding the musical fundraiser into Murfreesboro. Grief services grew, including Camp Forget-Me-Not for children who have suffered loss. And in 2017, the doors opened on yet another residential unit, this one in Rutherford County. After 5 decades, Alive Hospice has now extended its reach to 12 Middle Tennessee counties. It remains true to its original mission.
That all the people who came together and had input into putting this organization together and followed it along for now 50 years plus in terms of creating it as it is, I think that has injected as a kind of soul into the organization. It gives me hope that it will survive, and it will survive into the future. Because, as I said, the definition of hope is a sense of continuity with the future. And when you can have that, when you can have hope, then people can take care of people.